Hey folks, this convicted murderer was 17 years old when she accelerated her vehicle and purposely crashed into a building, killing her boyfriend and his buddy who was riding in the car. The wrong place at the wrong time. Now, she was found guilty of murder, and my question is putting her in prison for the rest of her life really the right thing to do? What are your thoughts? Well, I'm keeping this one short today, folks, to simply encourage thought and constructive discussion. Now, Mackenzie Shirilla was 17 years old when she killed two of her friends. It was a deadly car crash, which may have included a suicidal attempt. My question is, do you think she should be locked away in prison for life? I mean, she just turned 19 years old.
Let's talk about it with Mike King, who's with us this morning. He's a retired police commander, also the host of Profiling Evil. Mike, we're talking about a kid who's now 19, 17 when this happened. She had a few, apparently, incidents with her boyfriend where she kind of threatened the same scenario behind the wheel, intentionally crashing. And at the end of the day, this judge decided that indeed this was her plan and that she did not have any regard for those other two lives that she was taking, presumably thinking that she was going to go down too, driving this car into a brick wall. What's your take on this case when young people are involved? Just from your outside standpoint here, was this an otherwise good kid that made a bad decision, or can we say that maybe there was more here?
You know, Ted, I don't know if she was a good kid, but that's the key. She was a kid, and she was making decisions with a child's mind, even at 17, and an emotionally driven mind. The forensics behind this one clearly indicate, if you believe the black box and the forensics from the vehicle, that she purposefully accelerated and turned in toward that building. Now, some could argue maybe she meant to hit the brakes rather than the gas, but there were precipitating events that suggested that these kinds of violent outbreaks had happened before. To me, cases like this are incredibly sad. I feel so bad for those young men and their families and the coaches and everyone tied to them, and I feel horrible for this girl. Could you imagine having a child who makes stupid decisions when they're teenagers anyway, now having to face life, but justice demands that there's penance.
In this case, the defense, I'm not sure why, decided that they would go with a bench trial here. To me, you're going to maybe get a juror or two who just looks over at the defense table and has empathy. Anybody with kids, anybody who's had teenagers who, to your point, make stupid decisions all the time, but going with a judge who takes emotion out of the equation 99% of the time, that's a bit of a risky move. What are your thoughts?
I agree with you 100%. I think a jury would have been a much better chance of getting somebody to feel compassion instead of just looking at the core elements of the law, which is the judge is going to be more apt to do that. I don't know if a male judge would have ruled differently than a female judge. I know that my wife and I often have this discussion where I'm a little more forgiving of girls who make mistakes than boys. I want boys, to face the drill sergeant, and yet she's completely opposite. She's a little tougher on our daughter than she was on our boys. And so I don't know. It is a really tough one, but I'm with you. I believe that the jury would have been a better move because you would have had people arguing over the emotion and not focusing as much on the elements like a judge needs to do.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, add the female judge to the equation. As the father of two girls, I have the same scenario in my home where I feel bad and my wife sees right through them. And
exactly.
It's a whole fight.
Well, please put your thoughts on this one down below. Please be respectful of each other and be respectful of the families of these two victims who were killed in this horrible crash. You know, you can also really empathize with and be compassionate toward Mackenzie Shirilla's family as well. Imagine sitting in that courtroom and watching your teenager get sentenced to life for murder. We'll see you soon, folks, at the next crime scene.